Okay, welcome back to my weekly series of reviewing your units. Discord link to submit your units will be in the description as per usual. And let's get started. So first we have, I believe it is, who's Julius is this? One moment. We have Green as Julius. And we see Loptus, which is +5 to all stats if you are if your opponent is not dragon, I believe. And this is another steady stance 4 build. Granted, I don't agree with it too much. I feel like Julius should be primarily used as a res tank. I agree with the ploys, but steady stance 4 I don't super agree with. Also guard stacking, just some simple things to adjust there. If I made a Julius, it would probably look something like this. Whoopsies. +1 no flowers. What's his special? Special is Iceberg, which I agree with. Iceberg is fine. But I feel like he should be super pumping his res, whether that be Fort Def res or what I'm going with, which is distant defense 4. Then you can tack on guard, because there's no reason to have 2 guard effects. And then once again running attack play and res play. Pretty simple stuff. I like this build for the most part. I usually don't like steady stance 4. 1, guard stacking. 2, trying to buff this stat, which is 16 defense is pretty unsalvageable in my opinion, but that might just be me. Okay. Next up, we have also from Grima his Robin. Now his Robin is his pride and joy. I agree with most of this. I like having. It seems like it's trying to do too many things. Is my problem. Tactical Bolt makes sense. Rupture Sky Special Spiral makes sense. Fury Brazen makes sense. The Fury I'm not too sure about. He doesn't really need it for score. This one thing. It's a good build, and the thing about Tactical Bolt, it's already giving $4 stats if you're running a tactics team. So I would probably run something like, if you want to be like tier 4, then you can run like joint drive attack. But if not, like drive speed, drive like literally anything else. Probably better mileage than hunt attack, because hunt attack is giving you 7 in addition to the 4, but those unfortunately do not stack. So you're stuck with +7 attack, and the +4 to attack from Tactical Bolt does next to nothing. The Smite, I'm not too sure the relevance on the Smite. It's a dark unit, so I don't really know the background on this. Smite seems a bit interesting. But I usually, and I believe I've stated this before, but my opinion on Robin. Also, he's plus defense with Rush to Sky, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I believe he's trying to change that. So I would go something like this. And bear in mind, I like this build a lot, but I really like the idea of him being like a super buff bot. So for arena purposes, give him like a rally, give him something, give him Harsher Man. because he's already omni-buffing. So I would give him Harsh Command. You can keep Fury if you want to Chill Soak. It's fine. Already having Fury, doing a lot of damage. Here I would start going for chills. So I would go for, first and foremost, I'd go for chill attack. And for seal, I would switch between chill defense and chill res, depending on what you're running it with. If you're running Robin as a unit, which is very possible, like if you want to use Robin as your attacking unit, then run chill res. Simple as that. C skill, you can run drive, you can run distant guard, close guard. You don't really need a tactic, you don't need a gap, you don't need anything that provides physical stats. Or sorry, visible buffs. So you can even run something like Infantry Breath, Hexblade. It's many options, but I just recommend anything that isn't a wave skill, hone skill. Joint skill is alright, I wouldn't recommend it. Sorry, joint hone. Because it's one more, like if you did joint hone defense, it takes them from 4 defense to 5 defense, but it's also giving you the buff, so it's a little bit better. But I would still recommend going for something like a smoke or a drive. I personally would go for like close guard because it's very cheap. It's on Death Knight. It's really simple to get. I just find it the optimal skill for that at least. Okay, next we have Sky's Sigrun. Crazy good unit. He loves Sigrun, has +10 normal and Bride Sigrun. This Sigrun is running Guilt Fork. Aether I don't know if I agree with, but the rest is really good. This is Light Blessed, which I'm pretty positive is an AR. So he only, as far as I know, because she's hitting with Peony, she's hitting what, 49 speed, I want to say, and that's 49 minimum. That's before buffs or anything else. So I personally think Quick Riposte is a little unnecessary. Granted, it stops, or like you can hit through auto doubles, things like that, but to each their own. Attack defense oath is the only thing I'm a little curious about. So attack defense oath is, I think it's either 5 or 6 to attack and defense if you're next to somebody, which is not great. Granted, I don't really know what else you would run with her. There's no joint drive speed, joint drive defense is only joint drive attack. But yeah. Also, Guilt Fork, very strong in AR. I use it on I use the sword version on my Soleil whenever I can. I think it's a great unit, or sorry, great skill. I'm also a little curious about Ether, because Ether was a very slow charge. Very slow charge at least. Like if you're running Brave Lucian, it's a tiny bit faster. But at that point, why not run like Noontime or something? Going forward, IOT Shield. IOT Shield's fine. Don't want to be don't want to be running into anything that is good against flyers. Just precaution, I guess. So, only thing I would really change is the oath. Nope. So this is grailable, so it doesn't have boons. I think Guilt Fork is actually really good, so I'll keep that. I believe you did plus speed. And I think DC is fine to keep. There's definitely some other builds to run. I think just keeping what he has, or keeping like the skills he has for the most part. I would switch this to Noontime. I might even consider running Harmonic Lance instead of Guilt Fork, just so that Noontime will do more damage. But once again, he's not running Noontime. That's It's a choice. Either way, just encounter. IO shield. QR I don't exactly agree with, but I see where he's coming from. Also, flyers have I've said this before, but flyers have no options. But yeah, guard, mystic boost, which she doesn't really need. Renewal, like these are all pretty bad. She's actually not a terrible unit for Pegasus fight, but it's obnoxiously expensive, so I really wouldn't. Let's see. She can run things like dual ranged, anything else like that, but being a flyer, so it'll suffer. I'm having the same problem with my Mer currently. I have a plus 10 Mer, and I do not know what beast skills are on her. I don't know, QR isn't really okay. It really, like, anything that stops devils, like, what's a good example of that? Like an impact skill. She has 45 speed in addition to QR, so she's eliminating that foe cannot make a follow-up attack with QR, then still doubling because of her speed. I guess it's good for like good against units like Impact Granted, is gonna destroy her anyway with true damage, but that's just how I see it. C skills, threatens are good. There's a lot of options. C skills are where flyers got lucky, fortunately. Even though they got lucky. Jesus. You have things like smokes. I would run attack smoke just because of the nature of this build. But maybe that's just me. Moving forward, we have, oh, that was supposed to be last. There's one more I missed. Hold on. Here you go. Kronya. So, this is a purely offensive Kronya. This is about as budget as it gets, fortunately. It's base kit with life and death. That's all you have to do. I know it's a little overlooked, but the fact that she has desperation in her base kit is actually really strong for her. So she can chip things. I don't really know why he's not running Savage Blow. I guess that's his choice. Either way, speedy dagger unit. Not a whole lot you can do wrong here. So pops in. Eventually we'll get into desperation range. I'm not really too sure how, aside from just getting hit, which I really don't like banking on. I usually use something like Fury, but regardless, desperation to like repo, you get dance drawback or whatever you do, and then you can pop back in with desperation and more than likely kill a unit, especially with 49 speed. You'll be fine. And that's before a buff. Flashing Blade to increase Luna's cooldown, not cooldown count, cooldown time at least. With a skill like Flashing Blade, I would probably recommend using something like Moonbow. Just to show it off. If you want to run an all-out offensive Kronya and not run like a CC Vantage type thing, because this was plus 10 plus 5, it's now plus 5. So Ultama is ultimately a very good weapon. Something you can do is if you're not using Ultama for the effect, then you can run something like even Lethal Carrot, Pegasus Carrot, all of these. Ouch Pouch, like there's good things to run. Red Hot Ducks, I also think is a very good skill with her incredible speed. It's granted it's expensive. If you want to run something like Barb Shuriken, which is probably the cheapest thing you can do. Cheapest and still one of the best. And we run Fury. Whenever I can spell. So you're in Fury. You can run through Fury 3. Fury 4 is obviously going to be better, but there's no need if you want to run this budget Desperation Space Kit. You don't really need Savage Blow. Granted, it's nice, but run Savage Blow. And if you want to run Luna, which is also basically keep the Flashing Blade. Give her drawback, repo, whatever it is. And it's a slightly better build. She usually has Distant Guard as her base kit C skill, but I don't really see it necessary. Kronya should be your offensive unit, and if you're running Kronya with an additional tank, it's a bit of a weird combination. So I guess in that very specific case, Distant Guard would be good, but outside of that like very specific scenario, you shouldn't be seeing it. Okay, and finally we have sorry, this is Foosdog's, by the way. Forgot to mention that. This is Foosdog's Kronya. And finally we have Avo's Xander. Okay, we have Barrier Blades. This is pretty much an all-out res set. So effectively, this Xander has +7, 35, has 41 res, which is not half bad. Definitely needs QR when you consider that he is what, 31 base speed or 31 speed, even with summoner support and everything else. He's not getting there. Home Cavalry is pretty much, Cavs don't have that good of C skills. You can run smokes or whatever you'd like, but running a Cav team and having putting them in that 2x2 formation and having everybody get Hone and Fortified Cav is just nothing to scoff at, of course. Granted, it's expensive. I think low attack defense is really strong for this build. So if you want to run Xander, if you're in Barrier Blade, res are fine. It's pretty much all res. Either warding stance or mirror stance, both great skills. Yeah, it's really his choice. Run repo. You can keep either if you'd like. Ether is probably fine. Obviously, you're gonna want distant counter. Granted, he has the distant counter weapon, and you could run something like distant counter in his weapon, and then warding stance 4 and A slot. But they're very slightly more res with this build. And you run low attack defense. And you're hitting hard, you're not getting hit for as much. Obviously you're not doubling, which hurts a tiny bit, but it's just what it is. Run hand cav, just to run hand cav. And that's how you make a Xander, I guess. Granted, you don't really need to fodder off a distant counter. You can just run his base weapon and something like this. You run something like that, it's a tiny bit less res, obviously, but it's much more attack. Or even if you want to run like this. Keep missing. Wording stands for. If you want something like that, that's wording stance 7. That is what, 14 extra res, putting you at 38, and you're getting and you have low attack, so that's slightly better, and you're half immune to blade tomes. That's always how I put lull skills. But what blessing was this? Wind blessing. Alright. So you're not really getting too much out of AR, but yeah, this has been the weekly review. Discord and link to my Twitch stream will be in the description, and with that, have fun. Bye.